You know that if you are an empath, healer, or highly sensitive person, that you feel deeply. And one area that this can be a gift and also a real challenge is in romantic relationship. Now, relationships and romance are a really important and potent tool for our personal and spiritual growth. But there's some big pitfalls for empaths and sensitive people. I often hear clients and women say, "Oh, Leslie, there's this guy and it's going really well, but we have such a connection, but there's just something that's not working." This whole issue of connection is what we're talking about in this video. And you're going to find that what you thought that connection actually meant is not it at all. So stay tuned and let's dive right in. Hey, welcome back. Leslie Huddart here. I am an acupuncturist, healer, and spiritual guide, and I teach healers, empaths, and sensitive people how to actually hack their subtle body wiring to finally get past the trauma and blocks trapped in the body so you can actually live your life on purpose. Now, let's dive into this question of what is this question of connection with someone? Because sometimes we feel it so strongly, we just think, gosh, how can it be wrong? I've been in this place myself, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that one of the places that I've struggled with a lot personally is in romantic relationships. So I know this one myself. If you're really feeling this trap of like, I'm so connected, but these things aren't seeming to be working out, what we need to do is get down to the bottom of what does really feeling connected with someone actually mean? What does it not mean? And how does it really fit into a healthy, spiritually aligned relationship? For this, I wanted to do some diagrams. So let's hop over to my computer and start from there. Okay, so let's look at this together. I'm a bit of a visual and auditory learner, so if you want to grab a piece of paper and diagram this out, you might find it helpful. I want you to draw one circle, and this circle is going to stand for connection, or we could also call it chemistry. Now, this is pretty easy to explain, especially if you're an empath. It's just that feeling that you have with another person, the way you effortlessly seem to get along, the way you can spend hours together and not get tired of this person, the way that you can feel some emotional connection and intimacy at different times of just being together. It feels like a soul connection. So this is pretty easy to feel. Now I want you to bring in another circle that, just like a Venn diagram, overlaps with this circle. And this is actually what we call relationship. The number one mistake that I see sensitive people make is that they mistake connection for being the same thing as relationship, and this is a huge mistake. Connection and chemistry are important, but they are a small part and overlap to what a healthy, spiritually aligned relationship ultimately is. Because in relationship, this is where we find out important things like, how do we communicate? What do we each want in a partnership? What do we think our responsibilities are in relationship? How we fight and fighting fair? How do we communicate? How do we cooperate? How do our life goals fit together or not? All of these things are what truly make a relationship. And if you mistake connection for relationship, you're bound to fail in a painful way. So how can we avoid this? Let's look first at a third element that we haven't even mentioned that's really important. The third element on top of chemistry and relationship is actually this third component of the person's inner world. A person's inner world are things like their confidence in themselves, their level of attachment and bonding safety, their past history and their trauma, their ability to tolerate difficulty and sensation in life. If a person's inner world is quite low, it also will make it hard to actually live in this sweet spot here where you have relationship and deep connection. This is where we want to be, but there are a few things that can get in the way. So I want you to hear that ultimately you need at least these three components to really be in line, to really live in this ushy-gushy soul alignment where you have a foundation of a spiritually aligned and personal responsibility filled soul relationship that also has connection. And maybe you've seen versions of this relationship where people had a strong relationship and really were responsible and loved each other, but they didn't quite have the connection. Maybe it's even your parents as a model or someone in your family. And you may have yourself experienced a lot of connection, but maybe the relationship wasn't there in terms of those skills that we mentioned above. Or sometimes the person's own responsibility just in their inner world hasn't been developed enough that they can actually get and touch into this connection part. So here's a few ways that these things can go badly. Sometimes you can feel a connection and there's some work on the relationship things that are going right, but maybe because of some trauma, maybe some of attachment wounding or inability to really want to do inner work or work on relationship. Maybe there's some issues with anger management or self-awareness, or just trauma and subtle body, that it's difficult for the person to build their relationship skills in a way that will actually get them to this deeper connection place. That's one possibility. Another possibility that you want to be on the lookout for are really big issues that actually not just affect not just affect their inner world, but also affect relationship. These are things like addiction and deep split from actual personal responsibility. This is at the level of a person is unable to be truthful with themselves or other people, or large shirking of responsibility in their life, or just lack of life stability. This person is having trouble meeting their basic needs or their basic finances or their basic interpersonal relationships or self-care. This person is not even having a relationship with themselves, so it is virtually impossible for them to have a relationship with anyone else. Let's talk about now what this connection actually is, because people will say, gosh, but I feel it so strongly. What is this connection? Now, in my working hypothesis, what I've found is that sometimes, especially for empathic, spiritually oriented seeker people, often this feeling of connection that just knocks you off your feet and feels cosmic is often a past life association. Now, you may or may not believe in past lives. That's okay. But you may have felt a sense of like, I'm just so close with this person. I've known them before. This is a thing. There's even modern research that has proven, children who remember their past lives. So there's a lot of research there, but we could just say that you have a soul knowing of this person, however you think that happens. And that's a good thing to honor, but it's very important to be clear that that doesn't actually have an outer meaning about relationship and the way that you communicate and relate and do your work for healthy fighting, for healthy collaboration, for healthy life direction is separate than feeling that connection. So finally, what do you do with someone who you feel deeply connected with, but now you maybe have the clarity or come to in the future that it's just not working on their 50% line or in the relationship area? I'm going to give you 3 tips to really help you walk through this path with discernment. And number 1 is to really honor the connection, but also differentiate it. That starts with your speech. Wow, I'm just so connected with him, and I see that there's some things missing for us to really have a meaningful, connected type of relationship that I'm really yearning for. That brings us to number 2. Really hone in on your laser beam vision of what it is that you're really yearning for in life. I often recommend to my clients to make a list of their, what we call your heartfelt desires. What do you really want to experience with a partner in life? Make an actual freaking written out list of all the qualities that you would really like, and focus and be with and get that feeling in your body so that you are laser beam clear on what it is that you are asking the universe for, and have clarity of discernment when someone who you may have a connection with is or isn't able to measure up. We shouldn't have unrealistic standards, and you can always check it with a trusted advisor to really see if you're in that healthy alignment zone, or maybe there's a blind spot that you're coming up against. And number 3 is to do some work on your inner world and your subtle body. The subtle body is the technical side of our mind-body connection system. And if you maybe know and understand this in my mind, and all throughout the video you've been like, yeah, Leslie, I get it, but I'm not able to actually do it, that's a red flag for a subtle body issue. So we can help you with that. Check out more of the links below. There's also a guide for dating when you're an empath that you might really like if this video really hit home. As always, hop on over to our links below and join our online community of empaths, healers, and highly sensitive people really taking their lives to the next level. You are a soul with a body and you deserve great things. I'll see you next time.